education programs are the responsibility of UXO Lao, a Lao government organization. Its deputy director is Tongdang Singtirat.
แล้วการที่ว่าแต่ละปีนี้องค์การเก็บกู้ระเบิดแห่งสปป.ลาวนี้ได้ไปทำลายลูกระเบิดรวมเลยถือว่าปีหนึ่งบรุษ100,000 ลูกเนาะที่เขาทำลายถิ่มเทิงหนาดินนะก็ถือว่าเขาลุดพรเขาป้องกันบ่ให้ระเบิดแตกใส่คนนั้นได้ไปแล้วปีละแสนเถื่อ
UXO Lao would not have been established without the help of the United Nations, which continues to support its work.
The program here has two objectives. One's purely humanitarian, reducing casualties from UXO, but the other is more long-term relevance, really, to the economic regeneration of this region.
When every inch of land potentially harbors an unexploded bomb, it's more difficult and more expensive to build new highways, hospitals, and schools. Is it any wonder that Laos remains one of the poorest countries in the world?
The longer we take to clear the UXO, the longer that legacy of poverty will remain within the country.
However, once the unexploded bombs are destroyed and people can live their daily lives without fear, a lot can happen. In the village of Muang Na, the Mennonite Central Committee has been working with the villagers to improve their standard of living. Together, they've dug a new water system, bringing clean water into the village. Started growing new varieties of rice that produce larger yields. Built a new school. And started a weaving cooperative where the village women pool their skills to increase their profits. Things look good here, but the village population is nearly doubled, and to feed all their children, next year the villagers will be forced to start farming land that hasn't yet been cleared of bombies. Sopa has his own way of dealing with the leavings of war. He beats swords into plowshares and does it with metal from American bombs.
ตัวนี้ดีก่อนมันบ่ได้แพทย์คือว่าเล็กอันนั้นว่ามูลเดิมแท้มันแต่ที่มันได้เอาเล็กก้ามาแปะใส่เนี่ยมันยากอันนี้นะมันตีเลยแล้วส่งได้หลายแข็งแปลว่าคือว่าเอาลงเวียงจันทร์ปีนึ่งกับนั่น10 กว่าพัน
Sopa still remembers when bombs fell from the sky.
โอ้ยิงทั่วไปแล้วยิงทั่วไปบ่นั่นบ่นี้บ่ว่าบ่อนทหารว่านุ่มบีลงหัวพ่อกับเมีย50-60ดิมันมานอนอยู่อกเหนือนี่ขับบ่บีว่างลงเลยตายเป็นกองเสียเด้อเขาเบอร์ยิงยนต์ก็จะได้ว่าเจ็บเจอเลยเนาะยิงใช่แล้ววะเป็นสั้นเลยลูก
A container that once held 700 cluster bombs will be beaten into a dozen shovels. An artillery shell serves as an anvil. And tubes that once dropped American flares have been made into bellows.
ดีเป็นเมื่อส่วนลูกมีดผ้างอมผ้าขอไปเลยลูกผูผ้าโผโลจ้าเสียมอะไรเครื่องใส่นั่น
I think without a lot of technology, people are often very resourceful. They look at what they have around and they use it. And with the unexploded ordnance, the Lao people have been very resourceful. I've seen it used in supports for the houses. I've seen it used as fences. I've seen it used as troughs to feed their animals. I've seen it used for herbal gardens where they grow herbs or onions, small onions. I've just seen it used in a variety of ways.
In Sopa's house, a deadly cluster bomb has been turned into a lamp. In the kitchen fire, recoilless rifle shells form a stand for holding pots. Even the bowls and spoons are made out of metal from bombs. But it's the bombs outside the house that concern Sopa.
โอ้ก็เป็นห่วงสุดอันนั้นก็ว่านำพวกครูพวกนักเรียนนะพวกพ่อนี่กำลังสั่งในช่วงเวลาแล้วไม่ให้ใกล้ไม่ให้ลีดมืดยางแล้วนั้นนะมันยังหลายเนาะแต่ว่าเพื่อนก็กู้ใช่แล้วกู้ระเบิดมันก็ยังพื้นแผ่นดินนี่มันบ่แม่นอึดบ่ยะที่เลยอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
Children down here, as all over the world, they are attracted to small objects, things that they can play with. And a lot of the bombies are just the right size of a small ball. So just picking that up, playing around, tossing it around to each other or throwing it will put them in danger because it could be a live bomb.
The United States has helped train hundreds of people, including medical personnel, demolition teams, and their trainers, and set up a fund to help cover the medical expenses of bombie victims. Also, along with a dozen other countries, the U.S. helps fund some of the costs of ridding Laos of unexploded bombs. But is the U.S. doing enough?
The United States did conduct a bombing campaign in Laos, and from that perspective, I think does bear some responsibility in the post-war period to try and assist the Lao government. It's a very complicated relationship. There's a lot of suspicion on the part of Laos as far as what the United States might intend to do. The United States has offered aid over the years and assistance in trying to work this problem, but it is understandable that the Lao on many occasions have declined U.S. assistance.
The United States hasn't accepted responsibility for the crime it committed in Laos. That's absolutely certain. They see the very small amount they are doing to help in Laos now as sort of charity. They should start putting money and assistance into Laos on the scale of a Marshall Plan. That's what they owe to the people of Laos.
A third of all bombie accidents happen to children. In a bomb-infested country like Laos, even everyday chores, like putting old Whitey out to pasture, expose children to danger. And seeing so much recycled ordnance around the house can make it seem familiar and harmless. Young boys are especially at risk. Like boys everywhere, they're eager to prove their mettle and attracted by danger. And know if they can open a bombie, they can harvest the ball bearings, which make better slingshot ammunition than the usual stones or nuts. Bua Kam and her son, Tao Nyap, learned what can happen when boys get mixed up with bombs.
ไปฮอดตอนบ่ายอัน12 โมงตอน1 โมงไปฮอดเลยมีรอนทรายนึงลูลีนอยู่แถวนั้นแล้วล่ะบ้านนั้นเอาออกมากอันนั้นปอมน้อยเท่านี้สรุปบอกของเฮาทับเอาหรือทับหรือแตกขึ้นแล้วแม่นบ่าย1 โมงแล้วแม่นงินเสียงนั้นแตกขึ้นแล้วละล้มลงแล้วบ่ฮู้เมื่อเลยเลือดแล้วแม่นโอ้แม่นคือว่าสิเอาบ่ไล่ล่ะเนาะมือนั่นว่าแม่นขาดปึ๊ดซ้ำนี่อันนี้ละแม่นเม็ดซิดแม่นเบิ่งคักเบิ่งแน่ล่ะเม็ดซิดอันนี้แล้วแม่นย่างแต่อันนี้ไปฮอดเปื้อนแล้วแม่นจุเบื้องเพศแล้วขอตัดพีนี่ผัดตัดตัวหนึ่งอีกตัด2 เทื่อจังคอยดีอันมือเท้ายกเนี่ย
The Bombie song is sung in hundreds of schools. The Mennonites believe that learning about bombies is as important as any other subject taught at school.
We've introduced a curriculum into the schools here in the Liang Sai area, a curriculum that was developed by consortium, and we have provided the teachers with training and then also developed other materials to help in making the children more aware of the dangers of this unexploded ordnance and what they should do.
Betty and her team stay after class to discuss a new activity started by the teacher. To help children recognize the difference between bombies and the fruits which they resemble, he had them make bombies out of clay.
That's what he said, that the students then knew what to look for, right? Yeah. Yes. So maybe that would be something that Uma could suggest to other schools as well and other villages.
There's been an accident. Ten-year-old Rhea was playing on a hillside when he found a bombie and tried to crack it open. Even a single bombie fragment can kill.
If you could tell them if they find any more bombs anywhere, to let us know and we'll come out and destroy it.
อันนี้เป็นรูปเรียงในร้านรูปเรียงนี้ของร้านบ่กำลังบอกบ่บ่ให้ห้ามบ่ให้ทำลายรับกำลังมากเนาะ
As a way to help keep children safe, Martin Dunn organizes art workshops about bombies.
Often the children will draw from their own experiences. A lot of it is from the lessons that they've learned in the curriculum. They've learned about a certain situation where it could be dangerous, so they often draw from that.
The best drawings will be made into posters and distributed to schools in other parts of the country. Martin's learned that children respond to messages created by other children. This workshop is part of a larger bombie awareness curriculum.
It's not just something that children are tested on and they'll get an A on UXO awareness. It's something that we see in their behavior as well. And we have many anecdotes of situations where children have definitely prevented an accident because of what they've learned in school. It makes me feel good when I hear that sort of thing.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. We're risking 3 months and/or $700.
Marv Davidoff has been arrested 41 times. He's been protesting here for a long time.
If we continue to stand in the streets this way, they will probably move us with gas.
It all began in the 60s when a diffused cluster bomb came back from Vietnam and found its way into his hands.
I've had this cluster bomb shell since 1969. And I carry it with me everywhere I go. I show it to my students, and I describe what it does to human beings. And it's a terrorist weapon. When dropped, it explodes, and the steel ball bearings embedded in the shell shoot out 2,200 feet per second, burrowing into the human body and causing terrible internal trauma to heart, lung, liver.
When Marv discovered that Honeywell Corporation, a leading manufacturer of cluster bombs, was located in his hometown of Minneapolis, he started the Honeywell Project, a series of nonviolent demonstrations aimed at getting Honeywell to stop making cluster bombs.
When we began, there were a few of us, maybe 30 to 60, and then it kept doubling, growing. By 1970, we had 3,000 people.
The company wouldn't budge, neither would the protesters, who kept coming back month after month, year after year. In 1977, the project learned that they had been infiltrated by paid FBI informers. They sued Honeywell and the FBI, who both